Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
This very critical story breaking today from North Korea. North Korea apparently torpedoed the Korean ship last month. Here's the report. South Korea's military believes a torpedo fired from a North Korean submarine sank its Navy ship last month, based on intelligence gathered jointly with the United States, a news report said on Thursday. The Yonhap news report appears to be the clearest sign yet that Seoul blames Pyongyang for what would be one of the deadliest incidents between North and South Korea since the end of the 1950-53 Korean War. It puts more political pressure on South Korean President Lee, but analysts do not see it as triggering a war. You know, when we know this prophecy about this war that's coming that will kill 1/3 of mankind, when we know it's coming, then every time you have some kind of a conflict, it makes you pause and say, okay, is this going to be the trigger? I mean, the Bible says it's coming. It's going to kill 1/3 of mankind. It's right there in the Bible. Revelation chapter number 9, verse 13 through 16. Verse 15 is the specific verse that says 1/3 of mankind will be killed. Well, when you know that's coming, then every time there's a conflict, it makes you wonder, okay, is this the time? Is this the time? Is this the time? I mean, we've got conflict between Israel and Iran. We've got conflict between India and Pakistan. And now this long boiling conflict between North Korea and South Korea. And don't forget that President George W. Bush talked about the axis of evil. He specifically named Syria, Iran, and also North Korea at the time. So we're dealing with states that have been traditionally regarded by the United States as terrorist types organizations. The story goes on to say that the military's intelligence arm sent the report of, quote, certain North Korean involvement to the presidential Blue House soon after the incident. Yonhap quoted a high-ranking military source as saying, so this is just now being released, but soon after the incident, the military intelligence of South Korea said, we believe certain that North Korea is the one that sank this ship. I think there was something like 46 or so South Koreans killed in this particular tragic incident. The story goes on to say that North Korean submarines are all armed with heavy torpedoes with 200-kilogram warheads. That would be like 441-pound warheads. Yonhap quoted the military source as saying, it is the military intelligence's assessment that the North attacked with a heavy torpedo. The military intelligence has made the report to the Blue House and to the Defense Ministry immediately after the sinking of Cheonan. That is clearly the work of North Korea's military, the source was quoted as saying. South Korea plans to soon raise the front half of the 1,200-ton Cheonan, which went down near a disputed sea border with North Korea, and will issue its verdict on the cause of the explosion that sank the warship after that. So they're bringing up the front half of this ship, and they're going to, from that, try to make a final determination. Was this actually torpedoed or was it not? Now, if we find out that it was, then this ups the tensions dramatically between North and South Korea. There's been quite an interaction between North and South Korea over the last several years, and it looked like there might even go into reunification talks. However, now with this kind of pressure and this kind of conflict developing between them, that's probably not going to happen. The story finally says the greatest risk to the region is a brief armed conflict where North Korea fires tens of thousands of artillery shells into the Seoul area. Of course, Seoul being the capital of South Korea, home to about half of the South's 49 million people. So we're talking about around 25 million people live in Seoul, and it's very near the north-south border. An attack there would just be absolutely devastating. And, of course, it would kill everyone there if it were nuclear.
The Bible actually tells us that there's a war coming that's going to kill 2 billion human beings.
Define marriage.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. But I do believe in civil unions.
Hamas has said clearly and publicly that they are not going to continue the truce, and the same day they attacked Israel.
When the confirmation of the covenant occurs, it marks the beginning of the final 7 years to Armageddon.
Today is Friday Open Lines. Give us a call right now, 1-877-ENDTIME.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics.